Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast, the podcast that you've known and loved, hopefully for a while, or if it's your first time, welcome. Tune in for some nerd news and pop culture and what have you. I am Illeagle 86. I'm one of the three hosts of our glorious show, and the other two are here with me, Nerdbomber and Techtic. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm feeling it this week.
Feeling
it, SpongeBob.
Wow.
Vibing.
Okay, can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
Oh, yeah, I messed it up. Oh, what kind of SpongeBob fan am I?
You're not one. You didn't know what eels and escalators was.
To be fair, it was so random. He literally comes walking up the stairs earlier and is like, eels and escalators. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Eels.
I don't think you need to know, but that would not have been lost on me. I fancy myself a SpongeBob fan, certainly. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a super fan, but man, some of that show had it going on, man. Anyways, so you're feeling it today. Any particular reason, or that's just a very interesting response from you? I'm not sure if you're ever feeling it.
I mean, I'm always feeling it, but I'm in a groove.
But not vocally. Yeah.
So the weird thing about me is that I have not been sleeping well the last few days, just allergies and stuff like that. And, I've
so
got
when you say you're feeling it, you mean you're feeling sleep deprived? Or?
When you're so sleep deprived, you hit that manic mode where it's like, I'm awake. So yeah, I'm feeling it.
That was me in college. I mean, you guys knew me in college. We were all sleep deprived in college a little bit, though, right? That's what college is.
It's
I
funny
didn't
now.
go to class.
Well, sleep deprived in college was I only got 6 hours of sleep. And now I'm like, I didn't get a full 8. I am dead, man. I need to sleep.
Two-parter question for both of you. What do you shoot for in terms of a good night's sleep, and what do you average?
I would say I average 6 hours, but on the weekends,
that is just not enough.
6 hours during the week, and then on weekends, I probably get 10.
Oh, wow. So your average clocks in probably around 7.
Yeah, it nets out fine. When the beginning of the week rolls around, I feel refreshed and ready to go. Then by Thursday, Friday, I'm dragging a little bit, but then I get my refresh right away, so I'm good.
See, I take 2-hour naps every Wednesday. I don't know what it is. It's just like a cycle. Hits me around 6, 7 o'clock at night. Boom.
See, but then, okay. Let's talk about naps for a second. First of all, I cannot nap.
I'm anti-nap.
Pro nap.
I'm not anti-nap. I would love to be able to nap, but I can't. It eludes me, and I don't physically. It eludes me. I don't know why. But
napping
if you're taking a nap,
your sleep schedule.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm saying I literally, if I go, I could be as tired as anything. If I lay down and it's light out, unless I pulled an all-nighter, I ain't napping. It's just not. It's not hard coded into me. But Tactic, let's talk about this because a 2-hour nap.
Most naps occur
PM,
in the dead of winter, by the way. So.
Well, sure, but it's okay. Let's say it's 7 p.m. Wednesday. You take your 2-hour nap. You get up. It's 9 o'clock. If it were me, if I imagine if I were a napper and I woke up at 9 o'clock, I would move to the bed and just keep going. At that point, I'd say you've made a commitment. But
see, Nerdbomber has this rule where she's worked all day, and damn it, if she's going to bed before midnight. And so she will force herself to stay up, and then I won't be able to go to sleep. So I'll just get up from my nap, and I'll, do whatever I got to do, and I'll just be up for another 4 hours.
It's not quite that, but he's kind of right. I feel by the time you get home when you're working your day job, and you get home around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then you eat dinner, and then you have random chores and stuff, and then your day is over. And for me to be able to do the things that I like to do, I like to play games, read books. I mean, I like to exercise. Heck, exercising is an hour, and there you go. Then it's almost bedtime. Just I need some downtime. So that's my late night downtime.
So okay, let's just take this conversation all the way then. When's your morning? When's your average weekday wake up? When's your alarm set for? Not when's your alarm set for, because people do weird snoozes and stuff. When are you out of bed?
Are we talking about pre-pandemic work from home or during work from home?
We're talking about right now, baby.
7:30. Well, it varies. It depends, honestly. If I had a decent night, if I had my full 6 hours, then I'm okay. And other days I don't. It depends really. Do I slide my shower into lunchtime, or do I shower right away first thing in the morning kind of deal? I don't know.
See, it could not be more different. So first of all, wake up time wise, rigidly on the weekdays during pandemic times, 7:30. 7:31, you're not going to find me in that bed. That's just who I am. I've always been a morning person. I wake up very rigidly at a certain time. But in terms of when I go to sleep, I start my winding down ritual around 10 o'clock. And then by 10:45, usually 10:45, 11 o'clock, is when I stop watching what I'm watching on TV or put my phone down, and it's lights out, baby. And that gives me probably around 8 hours, and my Fitbit tracks it, I think, with like getting up to go to the bathroom and random crap. It's like 7.5. If
I was dating you, I would not nap.
No, you wouldn't have to. That's the point. I mean, I probably don't need naps. That's why I don't nap. But even before, my sleep schedule was less, gratuitous than this. I still couldn't take naps.
See,
I'm aware that I'm on the upper end of the sleep spectrum, but I'm engaged to a woman who places a very high premium on sleep, and I'm grateful for that, frankly.
I will say, when I have to go into the office and it's like quote unquote real time, I guess, and not this weird realm of fake time that I feel like I've been living in for a year and a half.
Yeah. The in-between.
Yeah. I wake up to go and start getting ready for work around like 6 o'clock. And then I don't stay up then until 12 because I just can't do it. Like I have to go to bed.
Right.
It's closer to like 10:30, 11. But now that it's just like I don't have a commute. I don't have to really I don't have to dial myself up. I can show up to my computer and turn my webcam off and have a t-shirt on. And it's fine. And I don't have to put makeup on or straighten my hair or anything like that. So,
but if you stay up till 12 and you get up at 7:30, that's 7.5. That's a tight 7.5. Yeah, are you getting in bed and
I'm getting in bed. I don't fall asleep right away.
Okay. Yeah, that's a key metric too, of course. Look, everyone, sleep's important. All right. I don't regret talking about this for 7.5 minutes of the episode because sleep's important, and I want to make sure everybody knows it.
And hopefully we didn't put you to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think so. But who knows? We're not going to talk about sleep the whole time. We're not going to talk about SpongeBob the whole time. But the point is, Nerdbomber is feeling it, and we need to take advantage of that. So let's do that. We're going to be talking about Netflix today. They just made a big deal with Sony. We'll get into that. We're going to be talking a little bit about Star Wars, something cool that they are apparently putting together for their ongoing theme park experiences. And then we're going to be talking about something near and dear to my heart, which is, of course, The Last of Us. We're going to be talking about it in a bit of a different context. So we're going to lead off here with, I don't know, I mean, you can't really assign those news topics as like bigger or smaller than others, but in terms of like monetarily, let's talk about the Netflix-Sony deal first. So the story here is that up until very previously, and I did not know this, by the way, I'm learning things about like TV streaming rights, I guess, or like what they call, there was a term for it in this article, it's like day one streaming rights or something. So basically what happens is, in non-pandemic times at least, a movie comes out in theaters, and then some amount of time later it goes on sale on, DVD, Blu-ray. I mean, they don't really make DVDs anymore, I guess, but Blu-ray and 4K and all that. And then it goes to paid streaming, I guess would be what you would call it. I guess, I don't know where on-demand falls in this, but essentially the moral of the story here is that up until very recently, extremely recently in fact, Sony had a deal with Starz where their properties would go to Starz first. And Starz, of course, is the premium cable service akin to Cinemax and HBO that I guess is owned by Lionsgate. I learned so much about things here, guys. But as of recently, a couple of days ago or today, I don't remember exactly when it hit, Netflix will now have those exclusive like first streaming rights to properties that Sony puts out in theaters. And as a component of the deal, they also basically have first rights to properties that Sony wants to put directly on streaming and skip theaters for. So this is, when you think about what Sony has coming down the pipe, this is a big deal. And you hear a lot of properties being thrown around. I think Morbius was one of them people were saying this is a big deal for Morbius.
Your favorite Uncharted.
My favorite Uncharted, of course. How could I forget? We're going to be talking about Naughty Dog later, but
I think all the Spider-Man and Venom movies too, right?
Yeah, Venom was also mentioned. Into the Spider-Verse. I think there's a specific component of the deal that relates to animated properties too. But either way, this is a big deal, right? I mean, I don't think it was said exactly how much money changed hands here. Obviously, it was a lot. And it probably also has to do with when certain movies come out, money will change hands, things like that. But when you think about what these companies are all starting to do, right? When you think about HBO Max, which is a property of like Warner Media or whatever, getting all of these, these theatrical releases in 2021 going essentially simultaneously and straight to HBO Max. You have Disney Plus doing a similar thing with Raya and the Last Dragon and Mulan, and they'll do it with Black Widow as well. It seems like streaming is turning into more than streaming now, right? And it seems like these sort of like conglomerations, you have ABC and Disney Plus and Hulu, and you have, HBO Max and Warner Brothers and DC, and now you have apparently Netflix and Sony is kind of the next one. And then you have, the little offshoots like, Paramount Plus and all that, Peacock. It's turning into, this is one more step closer to the end game here that I think we've talked about on the show, or if we haven't, I'll just say we're going to be back to like, it's everything's conglomerating, right? And eventually there's just going to be one thing left, right?
It's getting to the point where it's almost silly to have a cable subscription, even if you wanted one, which we do have a cable subscription
which is wild, by the way.
I like hockey and I can't get my in-market games with any of their subscription services. The NHL does not allow you to use center ice or anything for in-market games, which is a pain in my tushy and why I pay for cable still. But literally, like, this just shows Stars, the big pull for stuff like Stars and Showtime outside of their original series are the giant movie deals that they get. Like, I remember back when my parents first got HBO and Stars and Cinemax and all of that, it was so neat that a few months after a movie would hit theaters, we would be able to watch it on these channels that my parents would subscribe to. And now, there's no point to doing that because all of these movies are going into their owned conglomerates, if you will.
Going to my parents' house, it's literally like, oh yeah, I haven't seen you in months. Hi, how you doing? Where's the remote? Because they have HBO. And like, look, I have HBO Max, but like...
It's not the same.
It just hits different. Like it's... And we probably had this conversation too about like, some of my favorite movie watching experiences are movies I've seen 100 times that I find on cable. Because I don't have cable, but I have to admit there's this perverse thrill and enjoyment that I get when I go to my parents' house and I'm like, I'm surfing around. There's a reason that it's
your standards for your enjoyment are much lower. When you take the time to pick something, you're like, this better be damn good.
See, I disagree though, because there's something to be said. Like, there's a lot of pressure on weekends now. We've fallen into a routine where Friday nights and Saturday nights, we try to find a movie to watch on one of the streaming services that we have. And there's a lot of pressure because, like Techtic just said, you pick something, it better be good. Whereas when you used to just channel surf, you get to just be like, oh, hey, that's on? That's fun. Like, I just happened upon it. If it stinks, oh, well, it wasn't my choice. It's just what was available to me. And
think about like the Hallmark Channel. That channel exists in the sense of like people are scrolling through cable channels and just feeling absolutely no pressure to find anything worthwhile. And for that reason, they are sorry, Hallmark Channel, but that's what you are.
Don't besmirch the Hallmark Channel. They have They have some
great the crap out of it.
Christmas movies. To be fair, there aren't a lot of Christmas movies out there. Like, if you want to watch something new that's Christmassy, you get like one or two options a year from the mainstream movie studios. Like, Hallmark is where you got to go.
That's fine, but like right now, April. Who is watching?
My mom.
They're keeping
she just watched a movie with Joanna Garcia the other night, and she was actually very disappointed. She didn't think it was as good as she wanted it to be. But my mom surfs for that stuff. Like,
well, she moved right on because when you're surfing cable looking for a movie, you just care so much less. We've all experienced the Netflix scroll of like, we have to find something good, and then you look and the night is over because you feel like you have so much more information at your fingertips. You feel like you have much higher potential to watch something good.
Okay, I have to ask, what is your standard Netflix scroll time? Or not even Netflix. Like, what is your standard time to select a movie on a streaming service before you actually sit down and watch something?
Honestly, it depends on the day.
Like, okay, say there's no new release that just came out. So you don't really have anything in mind.
It still depends on the day. It depends on what mood we're in. Sometimes you're in a mood for a carefree movie. You don't even so much care about what you're watching, right? But sometimes it's Friday night or Saturday night, like you're saying, and we have to find something that's worthy of our time, right? And then it's upwards of 20 minutes. I don't know exactly how long, but they should be I'm sure they have, but like they should be doing studies on this of like, why is surfing cable so easy and so effortless and so low pressure, and surfing Netflix and Hulu and all these combined services, which by the way, it's harder often to search between all of them at once. So you find yourself dancing around between apps and it's less efficient. But why is that so much higher pressure? Why do you feel so much higher pressure? To get back to the topic, though, I mean,
there is some
Netflix
psychology student out there listening to this show right now. And if you're doing a study right now, and this is like your thesis moving forward, yo, give us a call.
Hit us up. Yeah.
I want to know.
We definitely want to know. But Netflix getting Sony, it's not like Sony is buying Netflix. But I will say one thing that I took away from this was like, how does Sony not have their own Sony Plus? Seems like a thing that will happen.
Didn't they have like a PlayStation TV sort of thing, and they tried it and they didn't make a good run of it?
I think PlayStation View is different. I don't even know what that is entirely. They may have had something like it that didn't work out. Maybe they were ahead of their time, because clearly now it's all that jazz.
Yeah, they're playing the Zune game.
They could be playing the Zune game. That's right. But I mean, when you think about that, like, Sony and Netflix are kind of a match made in heaven in that they're both kind of media providers without a country, right? They will probably work well together because it seems like in an age of apps like Disney Plus and Peacock, they desperately need each other. I cannot imagine how much money changed hands or will change hands, but the bottom line, I mean, for us, people who have Netflix, I mean, I'm sure, the Netflix subscription cost will continue to go up a couple of dollars, as it often does. But nonetheless, for us, this is a win, right? I mean, I don't have Stars. This has to be a win. Granted, I have like HBO and other stuff, but I don't have Stars because Stars, I'm sure I could get Stars, but like without cable, that seems kind of ridiculous. So this is a win. I'm more likely to watch Morbius now. I was going to watch Uncharted either way, but it is Morbius, right? I mean, am I saying it right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We talked about that many episodes ago. But I'm more likely to watch these things because when things come on Netflix, in as much as I just said, you spend a lot of time scrolling looking for things. If something's on Netflix, the chances that I'm going to watch it are certainly a lot higher than if it wasn't there, right? So,
well, I think it benefits Netflix because obviously it keeps us around, right? Like, how every now and then you get into like a Netflix show hole where you have nothing to watch. And it feels like you've seen all of the titles that they're presenting to you. And it's just like, eh. Yeah. But if you have this current steady stream of new Sony titles that were in theaters, guaranteed, I mean, that's going to keep people sticking around. But also from a Sony perspective, you're definitely going to get more eyes on your stuff.
Right, which I don't know how much of a problem Sony has getting people's eyes on stuff, but
I mean,
still,
I think it's probably easier for them to know that, hey, when this comes out, it's going to be on the front splash page of Netflix because it's going to be a big deal movie. Probably, I mean, We've seen the numbers when a big Netflix original releases on Netflix. I mean, what was that Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler movie that I don't remember? It was like
Murder Mystery.
Yeah, Murder Mystery Date Night or some crap like that. But like that had a huge streaming premiere. Like that, didn't it break some record? And
yeah, it did.
It was insane. So now I can just see Sony executives thinking, that could be us, and giving these movies a second life after the theaters. Because like you said, I don't know how many people have Stars. I certainly don't.
I'm certain Netflix carries more subscribers than Stars does. So at that point, it's a simple matter of, numbers and to some extent dollars and cents for Sony executives. I'm sure they're, in terms of exposure, like you said, more people are going to see it on Netflix than on Stars. That's a simple fact. I don't know how much a Star subscription costs relative to Netflix. I
think you can get it as like an add-on to Hulu and stuff like that. And like Apple TV Plus, you can add it on.
I think that's Showtime. But
I think Stars has one too.
I have Showtime too.
You have Showtime?
Because it's an add-on with my Spotify account.
Really?
Because Spotify, Hulu, and Showtime, I think they have like this bundle thing that I somehow qualify for. I don't know if it's because I'm a grad student or what it is, but
so I could watch Shameless and tell us how it ends. I guess I could Google spoilers too, but
I have watched one thing on my Showtime app. Plug for the movie Hustlers with Jennifer Lopez.
I actually heard really good things about that.
It was pretty good. No complaints about that. So check that out. Netflix and Sony, match made in heaven, match made in hell. You tell us. We're on Twitter at OW Illeagle86, at OW Nerdbomber, at OW Techtic, and our main show account at Online Warriors 1. What are you excited to see on Netflix? What are you going to not see in theaters that you're going to see on Netflix? Because of course, I'm going to see Uncharted in theaters, provided theaters are open and we're out of a pandemic. So it doesn't matter to me that Uncharted's coming to Netflix. I suppose I would watch it again, but Morbius is one that I might not go see in theaters, but if it's on Netflix, sure, why the heck not? Which of these titles that we've mentioned does that for you? Let us know. Hit us up on the Twitter sphere. We're there. We're ready to chat. Let's talk about The Last of Us, because as I mentioned before, and as I mentioned many times on the show, this is near and dear to my heart, but I have a feeling all three of us are going to get on a soapbox here. So the news coming out about The Last of Us is that Sony wants a remake, which right away I'm like, what the hell? I mean, The Last of Us 2 came out last year. I played it and liked it. The Last of Us Remastered on the PS4 has already been done. The original Last of Us came out in 2013. I know that was 8 years ago at this point, but
it doesn't feel like 8 years ago.
It's not that long, especially considering the fact that graphically and story-wise, the game was way ahead of its
I just played The Last of Us, and I thought it looked and felt great.
Yeah, the remaster itself, didn't take much work, and it came out like 2 or 3 years later, I think, because they made it right at the tail end of the PS3 generation and just kind of wanted to move it into PS4, and now I guess they're wanting to do the same thing for PS5. And
I get it, but
I'm not sure if any of us... Is there anyone in this digital room that thinks this is a good idea?
I do, and it's because of the Mass Effect philosophy.
Different.
But Mass Effect was 2 generations old. There is no way you can play it on Xbox One or PS4.
With that, but
Xbox One, you have back compatibility.
I'm going to ask you one simple question, Nerdbomber. Have you played The Last of Us?
Well, no, but...
Well, maybe this will give you a nice opportunity to do it.
Right, but the remaster is
She's never going to play it.
I will play it. I'll play it.
It's too scary. You're not going to play it. I know you.
I mean, I have the remaster available to me. I will play it, but that's the thing. I have the remaster available to me. The thing that so I get it from the perspective of kind of a twofold perspective here. One, and this is what I'm really kind of interested to see if they do this. And I think it will be really bad, but I'm interested to see if they make this mistake. So obviously, you guys remember the hubbub about recasting the motion caption actor for Spider-Man when they redid that for the PlayStation 5, right?
Yes.
And how it was very jarring, at least for me it was, because I spent so much time with one Spider-Man motion caption actor, and now suddenly I'm seeing him in a different face when I'm playing Miles Morales and the sequel, which has yet to come out. I wonder, and this could be crazy, and I might be talking on my butt.
There's no way.
There is an HBO show coming out. We just talked about the casting. Do you think they would try to remake this to tie in with the HBO show and redo the motion capture to have those actors?
Fans would riot. Myself included, to be honest with you.
But consider the following. HBO shows have a tendency to take off and have a fandom that's way wider than the initial source material had. Just look at Game of Thrones. I mean, the Game of Thrones television show... Well,
make it a patch. That's a good idea, actually. Make it a patch.
But, I mean, if you're going to spend all that money...
Why make it a patch if you can get new sales?
Like, you can play Last of Us Remastered on the PlayStation 5, but if you spend the money to remake it with the actors that people come... Like, if you were new to the series and you fall in love with the TV show, you might go out and buy a PlayStation 5 just to pretend like you're Pedro Pascal in The Last of Us.
I mean, for all I know, this is exactly what they are going to do. Timing-wise, it would add up, I think. They might record the motion cap the same time they record the show, film the show. I still am. I'm never going to be on board with this, especially something we haven't mentioned about this news.
I don't think it's a good idea, but I think that might be where they're coming from.
They're shunting resources that could be spent. Look, I love remasters. Okay, I've wanted a Dead Space remaster for years. I've wanted a Metroid Prime remaster. I think they're great ideas, but for a property like The Last of Us, they are shunting, their smaller studios around saying, help Naughty Dog do this remake. That's actually where the news is coming out, is a sequel to Days Gone was rejected, in part because the studio that is responsible for Days Gone, Sony Bend Studios, was told, help Naughty Dog. Granted, they're helping them also on a new Uncharted game, which I'm super interested in, but they also were asked to help with Last of Us 2, and now I guess a Last of Us remake, I should say, because I don't. It's too soon to even call it a remaster. What is there to remaster? So I don't know. This is tough for me because obviously, again, this is an IP that I particularly love. But what are we doing here? Well, Make the show. Focus your efforts on the show. Also, that's another thing. I'm sure Naughty Dog has had to dedicate resources, not the least of which is Neil Druckmann, to the show itself. Neil Druckmann is an executive producer on the show. He's going to be away somewhere, and he should be. Let the video game property lie for a little bit.
I think the interesting thing, too, is that this isn't even just like a remaster. The Mass Effect Legendary Edition is essentially just a remaster. I know they're making changes to the first game, especially to like bring it more up to date in terms of like RPG systems and whatnot, and just making it feel better in terms of playability. But that's not even what we're talking about here. We're talking about a remake. Who needs this right now?
That's a good point. What does that even mean? Because it's not a remaster, and that is a distinction we should make a note of. Maybe it is what you're saying. Maybe it is. They're going to slap Pedro Pascal in there, which I like Pedro Pascal just fine, but it's too soon. It's like remaking Back to the Future after 10 years.
Right. I mean, it almost feels like the same kind of folly they fell into with the Spider-Man movie franchise. They were so obsessed with remaking Spider-Man over and over and over again just so that they could pump out new Spider-Man
and
content.
You know what? They're going to make billions.
I mean,
I was going to say that kind of worked. It shouldn't have worked, but that kind of worked.
But like,
it should not work.
It's a little
chance of
different.
Working.
And maybe not to make the gaming market seem a little bit hoity-toity, but games are different in that you can go back and replay a game and the experience is still fun. And I guess the same can be said from a movie, but like if you're just remaking it, you can always continue to buy The Last of Us. You can't re-release the old Spider-Man movies in theaters and expect people to show up.
We're glossing over the story here regarding the developers. So I want to clarify that part. So apparently Sony's Visual Arts Service Group, which is a studio in San Diego, they took on a PS5 remake for The Last of Us with approval from Sony, but then it was handed over to Naughty Dog, and the Visual Arts Service Group was relegated to helping Naughty Dog complete The Last of Us Part 2. So they were upset. They're the founder of that group left Sony altogether. And again, now Naughty Dog is apparently working on The Last of Us remake. It's not known when it's expected. But again, then Sony, I mentioned before, Sony Bend Studios was working on a sequel for Days Gone, but they were told, help Naughty Dog. It seems like all the smaller studios are being told, help Naughty Dog, which...
Well,
I love Naughty Dog, but like, geez.
The Bloomberg headline for the article, because this was a Jason Schreier article, and he always breaks like a lot of semi-controversial behind-the-scenes gaming industry news. And the headline he chose for this article was Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest within PlayStation Empire. And I think
it seems like it is.
Yeah. That headline itself is concerning if you're a Sony fan. I think some of the things that Sony did really well over the PlayStation 4 era was that they were able to really innovate and bring forth new experiences because they weren't necessarily concerned with having a blockbuster game in terms of sales. Like, the games were so good they happened to become blockbusters, but if you didn't have the small team working on I guess maybe not small, but if you didn't have a team dedicated and working on a new IP like Horizon Zero Dawn, you might not have that franchise today, and that turned into a big hit for them. And even like The Last of Us, who knew that would turn out to be such a big, like, it basically defined a gaming generation when it came out. So
I mean, it's like what people say about franchise filmmaking, right? Which is you're shunting resources, good directors, a lot of money into things we already know about, and you're leaving the projects we don't know about, the hidden gems, in the lurch. And
I'm a big fan of the hidden gems.
Right.
I feel
you
like
can make the same argument here.
That's what makes gaming exciting, because I'm one of those people, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but when you have a gaming franchise, and Assassin's Creed, I kind of broke the mold on that because I jumped in with Valhalla without having played any of the other games. But when you're like 3-4 games in, and you're trying to get me to come into a franchise at like big blockbuster game number 5. I'm not going to do it. Just not going to do it.
I don't disagree. We'll see whether Sony has any response to this news coming out about unrest within their smaller studios and this PS5 remake, which I think has largely been not pan necessarily, but I think people are saying what we're saying, which is, why do we need this? But in the meantime, let us know what you think, again, on Twitter, where we live, about the idea of a PS5 remake. Whether you're in the mood for it, whether you're a fan like myself or not, and it presents an opportunity for you to dive into the franchise. We are going to talk about Star Wars, but not until after the break. Before the break, we are going to shout out our fantastic Patreon producers, as always, Mr. Ben Checkness, Mr. Stephen Keller. Take a bow. Yeah, find a stage somewhere, preferably. I mean, you could just take a bow wherever you are, but you could also find a stage, go to a local community theater, whatever you think is right. Ben and Stephen have been supporting us on Patreon for a while now. Ben for quite a while. Stephen is a newer supporter, and we thank him for that. They both support us at the night level, which is the highest of our 3 levels of support, and as a result, they get this producer shout out, they get input into our weekly game segment, and of course, they get access to the monthly secret segment and vlog. There's also a Squire level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment, and the lowly page, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. So, for details on that, you can head over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Thanks again to Ben and Stephen, our noble knights. And we will be right back after a word from our sponsors to talk about Star Wars. Do you experience digital eye strain from too much blue light exposure from digital screens? Baxter Blue glasses are not your average frames. These blue light lenses filter 80% of the highest energy blue light, eliminating 99% of glare. The past year, we have all been glued to our devices more than ever, and after constantly working remotely, binging endless hours of Netflix, tending to my Animal Crossing island, and scrolling through Twitter, my screen time is through the roof. Our exposure to digital light has soared, and our eyes and our sleep are suffering as a result. Baxter Blue is also a force for good and provides a pair of reading glasses for someone in need for every pair sold. This is eyewear built for our digital age, and Baxter Blue is giving our listeners 10% off your next purchase of blue light, sleep, or kids glasses. Click the link in our show notes for your exclusive discount. This is the sign you have been waiting for to invest in blue light glasses. We know you will love your Baxters, and we know that you will feel the difference. Okay, we are going to round things out today with some Star Wars content. We all love Star Wars. It never goes away, and it never should. But have you ever been to the Disneyland and Disney World Star Wars experiences? I don't think any of us here have. That was a rhetorical question for the listeners. You guys haven't been there, have you?
So we went to Disney World, I want to say like 5-6 years ago, maybe more at this point. And it was like just starting. They had some stuff open. Like there were a few rides and attractions. I know there was like a demonstration where Darth Vader came out in the middle of a courtyard or something and started like dueling people with his lightsaber. But I don't think it was the full-fledged Star Wars world like we know it now.
So the news we have here is related to the Star Wars world. I've never been there myself, but one thing I do know, and one thing I remember from the reveal of, or I think the Disney World one, but I don't remember, is they have this place you can go and you can custom build your own lightsaber, right? It's super cool. I mean, if I had been there when I was a kid, even if I went there now, that presents an amazing opportunity to me to spend, I guess, $200 is what I heard, to build a lightsaber. Whatever hilt you want, whatever color you want. It can be double-sided, I think, whatever you want. There's one problem, especially if you're a kid or if you're a parent of a kid, which is these do not... So when I was a kid, I had these little lightsabers that we would get from like Toys R Us or whatnot. R.I.P. Toys R Us. Toys R Us still open? Are they still alive?
I think in Canada.
All right, well, R.I.P. Toys R Us. We had these lightsabers that they were the telescoping plastic. You know what I'm talking about?
I got one from the circus once. It was an elephant.
Super cool.
Yeah, I got mine from KB Toys.
KB Toys, that also a dead company if I remember correctly, showing our age a little bit. But you could like whoosh them open by just doing like flicking it, and it worked like a lightsaber. You whack crap with it. the Star Wars ones, they may make retractable versions, but some of the nicer versions are just giant light up sticks, because obviously half the benefit and what the telescoping ones obviously did not do is light up. These ones you can get at Disneyland or Disney World, they light up. But they don't have you got to carry around a giant stick after that, first of all. And second of all, when you turn it on, I guess the light probably shoots up the shaft, but like, that ain't cool. Get your mind out of the gutter, Nerdbomber. Well, the big news here is that at a seemingly routine press event for the upcoming launch of the Avengers Campus at Disneyland on June 4th, the chairman of Disney Parks ended the presentation with a surprise reveal of a new retracting light-up lightsaber. Now, for more on this, maybe just more speculation. We don't really know anything. There's no pictures, no videos. It was at a press event that we can't see, don't have access to as far as I know. I'm going to swing this over to our DIY expert, Techtic. Now, Techtic, I assume you're salivating from a technical perspective in terms of just how this is accomplished. But first of all, good idea, Ben. I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea. I think to your point, we've had the crummy looking, nicely portable telescoping ones. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we had the nicely looking, incredibly not portable. It's about time they met in the middle.
Right.
And the technology, in my opinion, is and has been there for a very long time, and they just were not taking the opportunity and doing it. And thank goodness, Disney, we've been waiting.
And to clarify, we're not talking about like lightsabers, people. There's still going to be some sort of plastic enclosure.
Oh yeah, this is kid safe.
See, this is where I'm disappointed. If I'm going to pay $200 and if Disney is going to tell me I'm going to get a real life lightsaber, that thing better be able to slice through whatever.
You want to be able to,
I want to
cut a kid's arm off, walk out of the store, and just. Let's be honest.
I want a legit lightsaber. Come on, make it happen.
Let's be honest. The first thing you would cut off if you had a real life lightsaber,
probably my own foot,
was your own hand or foot. Yeah, something. I mean, I don't know how many times look, when I was a kid, I fancied myself a Jedi, and I had these plastic lightsabers, and let me tell you, I got good.
Were you one of those kids? Like, I know there are like YouTube videos and TikToks of kids who are like
I was
really
the
good.
Star Wars kid.
You were? Wow.
I mean, I wasn't good, but I thought I was.
Like, I kind of want to see this. I want a video of this. Please do it.
Remember the Star Wars kid thing from like way back? This was like before memes. It was like this kid was in a basement with a golf ball retriever and pretending it was a lightsaber and like whooshing it around, and he like uploaded it to YouTube, and like his life was ruined. Look up Star Wars kid. I'm sure it'll be like the first hit when you Google it. That was me. I mean, that wasn't actually me. I'm saying that I would be in a basement whooshing lightsabers around forever. Fake lightsabers. Yeah, I mean, I want one of these. I think you're right, Techtic. I think the technology is there. I think, and it might not be quite as realistic or lifelike or high end as the existing $200 no retraction lightsabers, but like you said, there's a meet in the middle opportunity here, and also they can probably get away with charging more. I mean, $200 is already a huge amount, but if it retracts, I think people are going to be more likely to buy it, and especially parents will be more likely to buy it because they're going to be like, okay, there's less chance of you breaking this as soon as we exit the store into a crowded Disneyland thoroughfare. So it seems like a good idea. I want to ask you, Techtic, what would your lightsaber configuration be?
So first and foremost, I'm signing myself up for this now. Once I get my 3D printer up and running, which it's going to be a while. Don't hold your breath, folks.
Why?
Because I don't have a place to put it, and I don't want my house to smell like plastic.
Asking the tough questions. That makes sense. Continue.
When I get it up and running, I will make my own that will retract. It will not slice and dice, but it will retract, and it will look pretty.
Is it going to light up?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Can you please, one of the things that I always loved, and my friend had one, but I didn't have it in my elephant lightsaber as a kid, was, I don't remember... Maybe it was
an elephant lightsaber.
So I got it from the circus. It was like your retractable telescoping lightsaber, and the flashlight, like the handle part was the hilt. Thank you.
The handle part. Yes, go on.
But where the telescoping part came out, there was a big elephant head, And then the telescoping lightsaber part was supposed to be the nose, the elephant nose. So you'd flick it and then the nose would come out. And it was actually pretty neat. But there were some that also had like the accelerometer and stuff in it so that when you moved it around and it could sense the movement, it would make the sound effects. That's what I want.
So the elephant one would make like an elephant trumpeting noise?
No, it had no speaker. I got the budget one, you know.
Right, but if it did.
Yeah.
That's what it would do. Techtic, I'm gonna pile on to the requests here because that seems like a good thing for your stress levels. Don't make a lightsaber, make a dark saber. That's sexier right now, man. That's a newer thing. People just take the Mandalorian, take what's his name? Can't think of the guy's name. Giancarlo Esposito with his dark saber, and just cosplay that. Make a dark saber.
Okay.
Okay.
It would be a dark purple LED sword.
Ooh, you should make a UV one.
You would need the light to be focused only on the edge, right? You would need there to be no light in the middle. Technical challenge.
No. Vanta Black.
I have no
idea. Or Black
2.0.
Vanta Black is for those that don't know what Vanta Black is. I know of it because I'm a magician hobbyist, meaning I can't do magic, but I like watching magicians. And they have those card mats that they do magic on, and I think a lot of those are Vanta Black, which like Techtic, isn't it like your eye can't see it the right way?
It absorbs like 99% of all visible light. So if you put it along the center of the sword, it would look completely dark, like you had described.
There you go. You're halfway to a blueprint right there. So, but answer the original question. If you had a lightsaber, I'm talking color, configuration, maybe funny hilt stuff like Kylo Ren has. What are you thinking?
I really like this idea, and feel free to call me crazy.
You're crazy.
You're crazy.
But I like this idea of a dual-colored saber where it's not quite, say, an orange saber, but it's not quite a red saber. But the blade itself is kind of a moving both colors, first and foremost.
Like strobing?
No, almost like swirling, if I were to describe it.
Ah.
So here is my lightsaber idea. And I don't know, I feel like this is not a thing, and I don't know enough about Star Wars lore. Like, I'm not a super nerd like you guys are about it. I just am
super nerd.
I'm a like base level fan. But I would want a dual blade, kind of like Darth Maul, except the dual blade would be hinged, so you could opt to make like a dual blade where they both go in the same direction, or you could expand it out so that they go in opposing directions.
So it's like double thick.
Yeah.
How
many C's?
Probably do that.
Thick
3
with
C's
like
at least
10 C's.
Oh wow. Okay. I would probably go. I would not do a dual lightsaber. That's a fast track to cutting my own foot off, as we've already alluded to. However, I think I would have 2 lightsabers, just one in each hand kind of situation, akimbo. I would go green. I think green would be that would be me. That's it. I know it's a boring answer, but yeah, I wasn't certainly.
I didn't even finish my answer,
orange.
and you guys were just like, "Oh, screw you."
I thought you were done.
You want red and orange? Well, okay, we're going to talk about what we actually want. I only got my color in.
Well, keep going.
It would be a single saber, no dual wield, no 2 sabers, and it would be a saber shield that is made from, what is that material from Mandalore?
Beskar.
Beskar, that is made from Beskar. I wanted to say vibranium.
So you would have a shield.
Yeah. Full-on Knight style, almost.
What limb of yours would you cut off first on accident?
Nothing. I'd have a shield.
Okay, you'd cut something off. You just don't know what. Yeah, again, on Twitter, let us know. What's your lightsaber configuration? Will you buy a retractable lightsaber from Disneyland? Will you go to Disneyland? Will you go to Disney World? I have not been to the Star Wars thing. I've heard it's great. Maybe I'll go someday. I don't know. I'm not a big theme park guy.
If you could pick one theme park to go to first, would you go to, say Nintendo Land was open, would you go to Nintendo Land? Would you go to Disney? Or would you go to, so I guess Nintendo Land would be part of Universal, but.
I'm going to Disney.
Okay.
Universal's great though because of Harry Potter World. That's a thing. You should go there if you haven't gone there, listeners, and also Techtic and Nerdbomber, I guess. We're going to move into What Are You Up To Wednesday now. We're going to find out what we've all been up to before getting to our quiz. I'm going to go first because I'm quick this week. I don't have much to update on. Finished the Great Pottery Throwdown, which was fantastic. Great, easy watching. I maintain that. But other than that, and continuing to read Malcolm Gladwell, I just want to shout out a movie I watched yesterday. It's one of my dad's favorite movies. Hey, Dad. You don't listen to the podcast, but if you did, you'd be happy right now. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Have you guys ever heard of this movie?
We've also watched, Mindy Kaling made a TV show on Hulu about this too.
Yeah, I watched the Hugh Grant, or the OG, 1994, and let me tell you, it is very British. It wasn't bad. If you like romantic comedies,
I do.
You'll know where it's going, and you won't mind. I think that's where I'll leave it for now. There is like one the funeral is kind of a twist, even though it's in the title. Very enjoyable, again, very easy watching, easy going. Didn't take long to pick it because I think it's like, I don't even know if it's 2 hours. It's kind of like, what the heck? And also Hugh Grant is very, very young. And he was young at one point, guys. He has aged. I would recommend it. Streaming on Amazon Prime for free. So again, kind of can't go wrong. Pretty low impact recommendation. That's it for me this week. My life has not been that interesting. So I will swing it over to my guy, Techtic.
You had me Googling images of the Darksaber. 10 out of 10 making that. This is exciting.
Hey, man. You're welcome. I don't know.
So my biggest, what are you up to Wednesday?
Don't put the H in there. I'm serious. It's horrible. I'm not serious. You can do what you want.
Is we watched the movie My Name is Doris. And, I thought it was a fantastic movie. It was a feel-good. It said that old people can get it too. Age is, Age is just a number. Can get it. And it's great. It was funny. It was charming. It was...
Do you want to give like a short descriptor of what the movie was about?
Old people can get it. No, it's
yeah, he already did, I think.
It's a movie about this older woman named Doris who falls for a younger coworker and
Sally Field.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Max Greenfield. Oof.
And aside from normal cultural things telling her not to, she goes for it, and she makes a really good friend out of it, and it's this heartwarming film, and honestly a good time for a Friday night.
And she can get it.
She can get it,
Honestly, Sally Field, she can get it.
She can get it. Yeah, no, that's just a stone cold fact right there. Right on. Getting some feel good movie recommendations, I feel like. Also, both these are rated R. Put the kids to bed. We should probably do that more.
Were there any there were no sex scenes.
There was several like adult
Language,
jokes and things like that, but honestly, you could probably have the kids right there. It'll be over their heads.
Like I'm trying to think.
85% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. 85%.
There was
That's pretty good.
Some swearing, some substance abuse.
She wanted her last names to be like comes a lot or something.
Yeah, but like I don't think there was anything like super graphic or explicit about this movie. I didn't know it was rated R when we watched it. It wouldn't have changed anything. It didn't seem like a rated R movie.
Her last name is Miller, by the way. Doris Miller. I'm on the Rotten Tomatoes page. It's readily available information to me.
No, she made a fake last name.
Oh.
Never mind. You got to watch it.
But yeah,
I have to watch the movie, I guess.
It's on Hulu for free streaming if you have Hulu. So, decent watch.
Oh, my guy Stephen Root's in it, too. Big Stephen Root fan. He played Todd, if you must know. Well, Nerdbomber, you want to round us out here? Techtic, I don't know if that was it for you, but we're just kind of racking up movie recommendations right now.
Oh, I'll kick it over to Nerdbomber.
So my biggest thing, I started reading Ready Player 2. And
oh, whoa, really?
Yeah.
A stupid question. Of course, why would you lie about that?
I came on the air and I'm lying about reading this book. So I really liked Ready Player One. I guess I'll give you a little bit of my history with Ernest Cline. I really liked Ready Player One. Super enjoyed it. I thought all of the like nostalgia references, it felt like kind of innovative at the time. Then I read Armada, which is his follow-up book, and it felt like a Ender's Game clone with more 80s references. And I was like, okay, clearly this guy has like a shtick. Then I saw the Ready Player One movie and I was like, the book was better.
Boy, was it.
I wasn't feeling the movie. So then when they announced the sequel to the book, I was super excited because I was like, yo, I really liked the original book. Maybe Armada, like he built this one world with Ready Player One, and Armada, he just wasn't super comfortable writing a new theme. Maybe he needs to go back to those characters. And
it's not working out.
It's not terrible, but it's not good. It's more of the same. So I don't want to give too much away, but I will say essentially same characters, same references every other page. Like there was almost an entire chapter where it was just full of reference drops and explaining an old 80s property. That was like an entire chapter of this book. And again, basically I don't want to spoil Ready Player 1. I don't want to spoil Ready Player 2, but the plot line is essentially the same too. Like there's another quest, there's another hunt that they have to go on, and it's just like, okay, and they have to do 80s references to find the things that they're looking for, and they have to know all of these super in-depth properties and clues. And it's just like, well, I read this book already. It was called Ready Player 1.
Did he hide another timeless fortune? I'm confused how you could do that again.
I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, I don't.
Because it's like a third of the way in, so it's not like an end kind of spoiler thing, but like a third of the way in, it's like, oh my gosh, kind of deal. So I don't want to give it away, but basically, it's
a what kind of deal?
Like an oh my god. So
okay,
I don't want to tell you what it is, but it happens about a third of the way in the book, and essentially, it's another scavenger hunt through 80s references in a VR AR world. And it's not bad. It's just like...
It's more of the same.
Yeah, more of the same. So that's where I am with that.
we got 2 movie recommendations that were like, yeah, and 1 book recommendation that was like, eh.
Well, like, look, if you really liked Ready Player 1 and you're okay with reading more of the same and you don't care that there's going to be a slew of references and that's not tired for you, go for it. I mean, I'm having fun with it. It's just like, if someone asked me if it was good, I would just be like,
You would say variety is the spice of life.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it. That's what we have been up to. Another thing I've been up to, by the way, is making a quiz. And I want to say we had a tie in the vote this week, and I had a very difficult time choosing between the 2 topics because both are near and dear to my heart. I'm going to speak with our producers about next time I am a host for a quiz, just straight up reusing the one that was tied because it was hard to not select it. But I had to go with my gut and my heart and other organs of mine and go with Seinfeld this week. If you haven't watched Seinfeld, that is a cultural institution. So I recommend you watch it. It's on Hulu right now. I watched an episode yesterday. Okay, that's kind of the reason I picked it. I've recently gotten back into it. I've watched the show many times through, but it's always good to revisit for all of its cultural references, all of its hilarious moments, all of its great characters. So the quiz today is about Seinfeld. And have you guys ever watched Seinfeld?
On and off back in the day.
Okay, so 2 kind ofs. Actually, I guess Techtic just said yes, but I don't know if he's a diehard fan. We'll find out. I have 5 questions here, and I have a 6 for a tiebreaker. So we'll see if we need that. But we're going to start with the basics here. How many episodes of Seinfeld are there? How many episodes were aired? And we're going to start... we'll start with Nerdbomber. Ladies first.
I feel like there are a lot. And I feel like seasons used to have more episodes back in the day than they do now. I'm going to say... This is probably too much. I'm going to drop it down. 500. I'm going to say 500.
I think it's more than that. I was going to guess 600 independent of what she said.
Okay, so let's do some math here. How many episodes does a half-hour show have? Or how many did a half-hour multi-camera sitcom have back in the day? Think about Friends. Think about other shows.
Well, it was 24 episodes a season, right? It was like half the year.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Do you think Seinfeld had like 25 seasons or however many? No, Seinfeld had 9 seasons.
That's 8. It feels like it was on forever.
I mean, Friends only had, I think, 10 seasons. Seinfeld had 180 episodes total. So you both
really
no points.
I feel like I've watched hours upon hours of it.
The first season of the show, I'm a Seinfeld expert. The first season of the show, I think, had like 3 or 4 episodes. One of those things. And then after that, I think it did have 20 plus episodes a season, times 8. If you math that out, it comes pretty close to where the 180 is. So total busts on that one. No points.
It just seems like one of those shows that has so many more episodes. I don't know why.
It may be because a lot of the episodes weave together multiple subplots. But I mean, other than again, like every show does that. So I don't know what to tell you. The finale of the show, the season 9 series finale. One of the most watched finales in television history. I think it's like this and MASH are like the top 2. How many people watched the Seinfeld finale? And we'll start with Techtic this time.
250 million.
I feel like that's too many. I'm going to say 1.
Yeah, 76.3 million. 250 million is a lot. How many people are
I feel like 1 is just a little.
Well, I didn't know exactly where, but
you were technically closer than I was too.
Yeah, it's true.
So Nerdbomber's on the board. In 2015, I remember this very vividly, actually. There was a huge bidding war over who would get the streaming rights for the show. Reportedly, what was the lower bound? Because there's typically a range given by how much they spent. The number isn't public, but what was the lower bound on the number spent by the winner of the bidding war, which was Hulu and Nerdbomber?
I'm going to say $200 million.
I'm going to say 1.
And Techtic is on the board with the old one trick. The bound is given as $130 to $180 million. So
Nerdbomber, you would have busted
close. You were close. You would have busted either way, but we were looking for the lower bound, and 130 million is the oft-reported number. So Techtic and Nerdbomber have both each used the one trick to get themselves a point.
I feel like we should make a rule, kind of like, remember in like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where you could do a lifeline and you can only do it like one time.
Okay, no more one guesses. Sure, we'll do that. Why not? In the pilot episode of the show, so this show centers around 4 characters, one of which, perhaps the most popular, is Kramer. In the pilot episode, if you watch the pilot episode, Kramer is not called Kramer. It's the same character, but he is actually known as Kessler because the real Kramer, who was the former neighbor of writer Larry David, Kenny Kramer, was hesitant to let his name be used for the show. Eventually, the real Kramer relented and was paid for his name to be used. How much did they pay him?
That's interesting.
It's a great question. Easily the question that I like the most. Saved it for number 4.
In dollars, right?
In dollars.
No, he got paid in peanuts.
I just had to make sure. I'm going to say he was given... I think that he was passionate about the show, so it wasn't an exorbitant amount of money. So I'm going to say it was $100K.
I'm going to say $500,000.
$1,000.
That's it?
They didn't know the show was going to be big at the time, you have to remember. They had basically just filmed the pilot, and he relented. For what it's worth, Kramer and Larry David, I think, still have quite a few problems. The real Kramer, I mean. He actually hosts a real-life Kramer bus tour in New York City to this day. Interesting man from the sound of it.
See, I don't know why, but I thought like he relented and then it would be like a almost like a per episode basis. That's why my number was so high, because I was like, maybe he agreed. He was like, I'm going to have to hear my name on every episode, so you're going to have to pay me X amount per episode, and then extrapolated.
They just gave a cool G, I guess.
Man, if anyone wants to use my name, Nerdbomber, in a TV show, cut me a check.
You're gonna need more money than that, because that's the pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, headed into the last question I have here. It's tied at 1. I do have a tiebreaker on hand, but you both need to step up your game. Okay, so as I mentioned before, there were 9 seasons of Seinfeld. I believe it originally aired on NBC. How much was Jerry Seinfeld offered for season 10? Which, by the way, he turned this number down, of course. Season 10 never happened. How much did they offer to pay him total for the entire season 10?
I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember with Friends, didn't they get paid per episode? And they were making like...
I have both figures in front of me. So if you want to give a per episode number, I can do the math for you, I guess.
I'll do the math, but I'm trying to think, like, I want to remember one of them. Like, it wasn't Jennifer Aniston. Wasn't she making like $2 million an episode at the end? And he's the titular character. So I'm going to say he made like $3 million, and then there were 24 episodes, and my calculator won't turn on. Hold on, I can do this.
72.
Yes, thank you.
Math.
72. Yeah, I don't do mental math. I refuse.
I think that's a bust, so I'm not going to do the 1. I'm going to do 1 million.
Okay, it's a cheap trick. It did not work. $5 million per episode, guys. For 22 episodes, that's $110 million. So Nerdbomber takes it.
Whoop, whoop.
I will tell you that I'll just walk you through the bonus question.
And he turned that down?
He turned it down. He really didn't want to keep going with it, I guess. Jerry Seinfeld, the character, not the actual guy. As far as
I could promise you guys, for an amount of money, I would totally be a sellout.
Oh, yeah. I would take $110 million. Throughout the series run, Jerry Seinfeld on the show had 66 girlfriends. Less than one girlfriend every 3 episodes. Pretty good. Yeah, Nerdbomber takes it. She will host next week's quiz, topic TBD. We want to thank you all for joining us for another amazing episode of the Online Warriors podcast. Thanks again to my co-hosts, Nerdbomber and Techtic. Thanks again to our Patreon producers and all who listened. And thank you to all who leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We would appreciate you heading over there, dropping us some kind words or unkind words if you hate us. Look, that's how reviews work. It takes all kinds. Hit us up on Twitter. I already mentioned the handles. And be kind to each other. And we will talk at you next week.
Looking for a podcast all about nerddom?
Want a podcast with an emphasis on representation?
The Nerd Alternative is the podcast for you. Join me, Ram.
Me, Hassan.
And me, Levi.
3 black British nerds tackling the pop culture we love and sharing why we love them. The Nerd Alternative, a sweet melting pot of all things nerdy.